Hi, I'm Olivia, and I'm a first-time mom with a 8-month-old baby boy, and I like to do things a little bit more natural, a little bit more on the crunchy side of things, and I really want to share the top 10 resources I think that all moms should know about. So my first resource would be the EWG app. So this is great for anyone who's a mom, but also anyone just in general. I think everyone should have the app on their phone because it's the environmental working group. They take all products from household products, personal care, baby products, food, and they test them, all the ingredients inside them, and make sure that they are clean and non-toxic. And so you can either scan the barcode of a product in your home. A lot of times it'll be in their system, and if not, you can just search their brand. And a lot of times they'll have other products that are similar to yours, and you can kind of see if that brand is non-toxic or not. And it'll show a breakdown of all the ingredients, which ones are okay, which ones are not. It shows exactly what type of environmental, is it cancerous? Is it environmental issues? Are there fragrances, dyes, things like that? It shows you all those things and breaks it down, and even a lot of times gives you a scale, I think it's 1 to 10. And then there's also the best, cleanest products will be the EWG verified items, which is what I look for whenever I'm shopping. It's really awesome, really great resource. Nobody has time to research every little ingredient and every little thing. And just because a word is a big word doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. So it's just a little helpful trick in your back pocket to have, makes things a lot easier. My second resource would be Needed. This is more of a product than a resource, but I think it's still a resource because I'm going to link below a podcast that I think everybody should listen to who is a mom, or if you're pregnant or planning on being pregnant, because this is a prenatal company. They do a lot of research to figure out what exactly pregnant people need, and I'm going to, again, I already said this, but I'm going to link below a podcast where they're interviewing, I believe it's the owner of the company. I think there's 2 people who founded the company, and she is on there talking about exactly what you need in your prenatal, what you don't need in your prenatal, what to look for, what to watch out for, and it's just really insightful, and I think it was really helpful because you hear, from OBs generally, you hear just take any prenatal. Sometimes they're warned against certain things, like maybe have folate instead of folic acid, but this is just a deep dive into exactly what type of things that you should look for, whether you go for Needed company or not. I think it's just really interesting and good to know what you need and what you don't need. My third resource would be the Birthing Instincts podcast. So if you are pregnant, or you are thinking about getting pregnant, or you're having any type of trouble in your pregnancy, this podcast is amazing. There's Dr. Stu and a midwife, Bliss, who they go over tons of topics that have to do with pregnancy and birth. And a lot of times if you're questioning something about your pregnancy or birth, or something that you've heard from your midwife or your OB, you can go to their podcast and just search whatever it is you need to know, and there's so many helpful resources there. So you can typically find what you're looking for or what you're dealing with, and you can get a second opinion. And if not, you can actually go to their website and you can email in, and I know this firsthand because I did email them, and Dr. Stu literally responded the next day, which is so amazing. And I am not even pregnant right now, and I listen to their podcast every single week, every new episode, because it's just so insightful. It's so good to know these things before you actually get into an issue like this. I'd rather be knowledgeable ahead of time, and it's just really awesome to hear from someone who was an OB who is very into, women's bodies, can give birth at home, and he advocates for that, and he truly believes that we can give birth, and it's just super awesome resource, and I would highly encourage you to give it a listen. My next resource would be the Happy Homebirth podcast. So when I was pregnant, I was looking for so many birth stories. I was wanting to listen to any one story I could listen to, any positive stories, and I searched YouTube like crazy, and I'm pretty sure I listened to almost all of the birth stories out there. And I never even knew about the Happy Homebirth podcast. There are so many positive homebirth stories on there. It's such an awesome resource. I wish I would have known about it when I was pregnant, but unfortunately I did not. But I did find it now, and the host of the show, I think her name's Caitlin Fusco, she actually just took a break from doing the show, but that doesn't discount the podcast at all. There are still tons and tons of stories out there, and if you're looking for positive birth stories, it's definitely something that I would recommend. My fifth resource would be the Freebirth Society. So they have an Instagram account, a YouTube, podcast. I listen and watch all of them because this is all about women having birth at home without a provider, without a midwife. A lot of them have wild pregnancies, and they just completely and totally trust their body and how God intended us to have babies. And it's just really inspiring to hear people who give birth this way, whether you want to have a free birth or not. I think even if you want to have a hospital birth, but you want it unmedicated, if you're anything like me, I had a lot of fears going into it that I had to kind of work through. And I think listening to that podcast really, really helped. It is so empowering to hear these stories about people just giving birth in their bathroom by themselves or with their husband or whatever the case might be. If they can do it, then I know I can do it. If their body knows how to do it, then my body knows how to do it. And it really, really, really has opened my eyes, especially after I had a hospital birth that didn't go to plan. Listening to the Freebirth Society has really, really helped me, get over all these fears about my second birth. I am 100% on board with having my baby at home next time. And I think a huge part of that is from listening to the Freebirth Society. So whether I give birth in that way or not next time around, I still think it's an awesome resource for anyone looking to have any kind of unmedicated birth. So my sixth resource would be the book Dissolving Illusions. So this is a really awesome resource if you are wondering about vaccines. So I would recommend this is the first thing that you should listen to the book or read. So it talks about how these specific vaccines came to be, and then also what's in the vaccines, and it gives a lot of statistics. I will say the first couple of chapters are a little hard to get through. It's a little boring, but once you get past it and get into the actual specific chapters on specific vaccines, I think it's super, super interesting. Tons of statistics, tons of facts in there, and it really, really opened my eyes to some things. And I think that if you are on the fence or wondering what to do or what not to do, I definitely highly encourage you to read Dissolving Illusions. My next resource would be the Dr. Green Mom website. So this is kind of going off the book Dissolving Illusions. So if you are thinking about vaccines or you're figuring out what you want to do, and maybe you have a newborn or you're soon to have a newborn, and you have to make these decisions, it's very helpful to find a doctor who is on the same page with you. So I found this out the hard way. If you go to a regular pediatrician, you potentially will get dropped, as I did, for making certain decisions. And so if you go to Dr. Green Mom's website, you can actually get this list, which I think she's been keeping it for like 10 years or more, and it shows all different cities and states, different doctors that are vaccine friendly. So they allow you to pick and choose what you want to do. They let you make your own choices, which I think is super awesome and super helpful. So go check that out if you are struggling with this issue, like I was. My seventh resource would be the Solid Starts app. So whether you are doing the baby-led weaning or not, I think there comes a day when you want to give your baby watermelon or eggs or whatever it might be, and maybe you don't know how to do that safely. So I have the Solid Starts app on my phone, and all I do if I want to give him a certain type of food, I just search, and it shows exactly from 6 to 9 months, this is how you can feed him. At 1 year, this is how you can feed this type of food, and gives you different options and ways to cook it, and which ones are higher for allergies or choking hazards or things like that. So it's been really helpful for me, especially because I'm a first-time mom, and it's a little bit nerve-wracking to feed your baby like whole foods or sometimes they don't know how to feed certain types of foods, like an apple, for example. And so it's just really awesome app to have. And I know that if I'm a cheapo, but if you're not and you get the paid version, I know you can save certain foods, and you can see like at a year, I fed my baby over 100 foods or whatever it might be. And I just think that that's really cool. So whatever feeding style you go with, I still think that it's a really cool resource to know about and to have. My next resource would be Go Diaper Free. So they have a podcast, they have a website, and it's all about helping your baby go potty before you actually start the potty training process. And so you kind of see where their cues are when they need to go to the bathroom, and you actually take them to the toilet. And you can do this from day one, which is incredible. So I didn't realize that this was even a thing, and I actually listened to a podcast about it. It's called Elimination Communication. I listened to a podcast about it, and I didn't even understand what it was after an hour-long podcast. So it's not complicated. It's very simple. Basically, you're just looking for cues for your baby to tell you that they need to go potty. There's a lot of different ways to look for this. And then you take your baby to the potty and let them go. So I found this out about like 3 months, I believe, and he started going potty at about 3 months, which is super awesome. And now almost every time I take him to the potty, he goes to the bathroom. So we're creating this association with it, and I hope that it helps him to be potty trained earlier, because it used to be, I believe the average was like a year, something like that, like 12 to 18 months. I'm going to look up the statistics, but it was like 12 to 18 months, and now it's like 36 months or something crazy. So definitely think that that's something to look into. It's called EC, Elimination Communication. Check it out. Go Diaper Free podcast, Go Diaper Free website, and they also have an Instagram. My final resource would be Homeopathy for Mommies. So they have a podcast, an Instagram, and if you go to their website, you can actually sign up to do these different challenges to learn homeopathy, which is really cool. If you run into a problem like your baby gets sick for the first time, like mine did, and I did not know what to do, and I didn't have a pediatrician to go to, I started learning more and more about homeopathy and ways that you can deal with sickness and certain things at home versus like going to the doctor or going to the hospital. And I think it's just a really awesome resource to know about and listen to. So if you want to do a little deep dive into homeopathy and you want to care for your children at home as best you can, then I think that it's a really awesome resource and a really cool thing to put some time and energy into. So I hope this list of resources was helpful. A lot of these things I wish I would have known when I was pregnant, but I'm really grateful that I know about them now. And hopefully if you are pregnant or about to be pregnant, these things can help you. Also, I just do want to say that if you go ahead and listen to any of the birth stories that I talked about, please be super careful, because if you are in your late stages of pregnancy or maybe even your like second trimester of pregnancy, a lot of birth stories, although they might seem positive to someone who's not pregnant, I know that whenever I was pregnant at the ending stages, I would listen to positive birth stories, and there would be one or two things in there that would kind of freak me out or like add fear or anxiety, which is definitely not what I want to do. So maybe have someone else listen to a story before you listen to it. Just be very cautious about that kind of thing. And if you were in the early stages of pregnancy and you listen to something that's really positive, maybe save that for later stages in your pregnancy if you want to listen to more birth stories, because it is a sensitive time, and I just wanted to throw that out there. But anyways, I really hope that this was helpful, and I appreciate you for watching.